Hi guys, it's Gavin here, and I'm going to be doing a pros and cons on CO2 and compressed air. So, I'll start off with CO2. The pros of that is that they were there since the beginning of paintball. So, they're pretty much known everywhere and anywhere that you go. So yeah, they would be really common wherever you go. And the good thing about them is that they're cheap in price. They range from anywhere from $20 to $50 at most, I believe, from what I've seen. Really cheap, and they work good. So, another thing is that you can pretty much get them filled at any field that you go to. Yeah, because pretty much every field that you go to would have that. It would either have compressed air or CO2, but they would more than likely have CO2 fills, so that's another thing. So about 99% of the fields that you would go to would be able to fill it, sorry. Stumbled on a word. Okay, and some cons about the CO2 would be that the liquid that is in the CO2 tank should eventually wear down your gun, which is a bad thing because you don't want to have any wear applied to the gun, or it's not going to work just like you bought it. So yeah, that's a bad thing about CO2. Another bad thing is that it takes longer to fill up compared to high pressure air tanks. And yeah, when you fill them once you get them filled, they're very cold in temperature. So it's another bad thing. So yeah, I'll move on to high pressure air tanks. Well, I go paintballing sometimes, and I have two of them. I have them right here. I have a carbon fiber Empire. Let's see, 6845 tank, and yeah, gets over a couple thousand shots with this until it starts to run out. Then I have another carbon fiber Empire 5645, and you get about around maybe 1,500, almost 2,000 shots from this. And it's really light too. It weighs just in under 2 pounds. Same thing with this tank. This is just under 2 pounds as well. So that's good. It's becoming more popular around the world because most of the higher end guns usually runs off of HPA. As if you were using a woods ball gun, you would have to be using like a CO2 tank. Well, yeah, most of the woods ball guns usually use CO2, so yeah. Let me think. Oh, yeah, it's also very cleaner for your gun, and it will not deteriorate any parts in your gun. You can, you can use them in pretty much any condition. You can use it when it's 0 degrees to up to 100 degrees, and it'll shoot just as if it was at 0 degrees. So yeah, it pretty much performs perfectly in any condition, any kind of weather that you live in. So I'm pretty sure that all HPA tanks have pressure gauges. So this one's like right there. Then this one is right here, and it goes. Both of them all go all the way up to 60,000 psi. So you can get up to 6,000 pounds per square inch in there, but I wouldn't recommend it because you're usually supposed to only get it up to 45 45 cubic inches of pressure in your tank at a time, or else, I don't know, it could blow off your gun or something like that. I'm not really sure, and I don't want to find out what will happen if you put 6,000 in a tank. So yeah. Another thing, it can be topped off at any time, so if you overfill it, you can just depressurize it to the right amount of pressure if you do overfill it, but yeah, it's a good thing. And it is more consistent than CO2, so yeah, that's another thing. So I go on to the cons of it. The only bad thing about CO2 tank, or not CO2, HPA tanks, is that the price ranges from anywhere from $60 to $250. I don't know why they're so expensive, but it's crazy. But and then you can buy accessories, which would cost more. I have a dye rhino tank for my 5645, and that cost about like 40, no, not 40, like $30. So if you want to keep your tank like in a case so it won't get like dinged or scratched or anything, that's going to cost a little bit of money, but it does help a lot. Like the grip, when you're playing with it, like you put it on your shoulder and there's like padding, right, or like grip, like rubber back here, so if it's on your shoulder it's not going to slip anywhere, even if it is wet. But I do not have an accessory for this tank, so yeah. And then another bad thing is that some fields usually have CO2 refills, and because most of their players with CO2 would only have CO2, or no, some fields are usually common with CO2 fills, so they wouldn't like think of buying a compressed air. So if a player goes there and uses compressed air and wants to fill it up, they would tell you that they don't have it, and that's a bad thing, because you'd have to go somewhere else and play. And another bad thing is it is quite a bit larger than CO2 tanks. Like it's bigger in length. Well, some are, and it's more big around, like that and that, and around like this. Where it is to like a CO2 tank, where it's like that much round, and the compressed air is like that. So yeah, it's another bad thing. But other than that, I would recommend HPA because it's more efficient and more consistent for your gun, and it doesn't wear down any materials in your gun. So yeah. So this is Gavin, and I recommend using a HPA tank. Bye. Thanks.